All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We got my guy Tyler joining the show. I met Tyler hooping probably about 6 months ago, but the thing is I feel like I've laid the foundation for the show, and now I want to take it to the next level. So I'm bringing in a super team, an elite team, and Tyler is the first member of this team that you guys are going to meet. And instead of having Tyler introduce himself to you, because introductions suck, there's nothing worse than when you're in a business meeting or whatever it is, and they say, "Hey, tell us a fun fact about yourself," or well, what are you interested in? That's the worst. So I'm going to hit him with a rapid fire round right away, and that's how you guys will get to know him a little bit. So, Tyler, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
All right. What's your go-to pizza topping?
Oh, it's got to be pepperoni.
All right. I'm the same way. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's very cliche, but it's going to have to be Forrest Gump.
All right. Favorite sport to watch?
Football.
To play?
Golf.
Okay. Your favorite hooper of all time?
Favorite hooper of all time? God, that is tough. I guess I never really grew up watching Michael Jordan, so it's gonna have to be Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay, and then what about your favorite golfer?
Favorite golfer, Tiger Woods. That's easy.
Okay. Who's the best hooper in the world right now?
Luka Doncic.
Okay. And who's the best quarterback in the world right now, not named Mahomes?
Jordan Love.
Oh wow. Oh, wow. All right.
A little biased there, but
Yeah.
I think after the season he had last year towards the end, I think it's a pretty good argument, but we'll see. We'll see here very quick.
That's a bold prediction, but
yeah.
What's your favorite cheat day meal?
Favorite cheat day meal? I am a sucker for chocolate chip cookies. I could eat those all day.
And then your favorite lift in the gym?
Bench press.
All right, a few more here. What's your favorite season and why?
My favorite season is summer, just because the winters are so long here in Wisconsin.
That's fair. And then, if you could have dinner with any living person right now, who would it be?
I think it would have to be Tiger Woods.
Okay. And last question for the rapid fire round is, what's your go-to alcoholic beverage?
I like just a brandy old-fashioned press.
Right. You know what I was thinking about recently is Long Island iced teas are extremely underrated. I think they just more respect needs to be put on the name of Long Island iced teas because it gets you to where you need to be right away. You only need to pay for one drink. And somehow, I was just thinking about this because I have not had a drink actually since July 20th when I was at the Jake Paul fight in Tampa. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I got started and got me off to a good place. It got me to where I needed to be right away. It tastes good. And when you watch them make it, like it's just a bunch of booze and then just a splash of cola. And it tastes good. So I don't need to spend my money or anything. So I just think Long Island iced teas are highly underrated. Tyler, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a brandy old-fashioned guy. The one thing even with a Long Island is I haven't had too many of them, but the sweetness, they get to be too sweet. So after you have about 2 or 3, you get that little taste in your mouth a little bit, and you're like, what should I have? You want to keep going, but should I switch to a beer? And then you don't want to be mixing it, but it's the sweetness. And that's actually, I used to like sweet brandy old fashions, and then I went to press just because it's a mix of the seltzer and the soda, which kind of equals out that sweetness. So, but that's the only drawback. But not against the Long Island iced teas. They sound pretty appetizing.
I was just thinking that, especially after my recent experience. But if once you start having 2 or 3. I mean, honestly, it depends on who it is, but you can be in danger territory pretty quickly. It can sneak up on you. But that's the thing. That's like the big like mystery to me is the fact that it tastes so good, or it tastes so sweet, I should say, But like I said, you watch him make it, and it's just like basically booze. I don't understand how it tastes sweet at the end of the day. But
And for me too, it always it's a seasonal kind of thing. I mean, I think I like old fashions a little more in the fall, winter time, and then I think if I'm a go-to kind of cocktail slash drink, summertime, I'm probably doing like a vodka lemonade, something that's refreshing, something that's going to quench your thirst when it's 85, 90 degrees out. So I guess it kind of varies from season to season for me.
okay, and then the last alcoholic question I have for you is White Claws. All right, I was also thinking about this recently. Is do you know do you enjoy the taste of a White Claw?
I do not enjoy the taste of any sort of seltzer. I've tried it. I've tried to create a taste for it. I don't get the hype. I don't like them. They're light. They can be refreshing, but I'm just not a seltzer guy. So,
Well,
um,
yeah, for me, I agree. I'm not a seltzer guy, but the only reason I do drink it is because, like, if I drink a bunch of beer or anything, I feel kind of chubby afterwards. So, you drink that to not feel so like bad at the end of the night. But
yep.
the taste of a White Claw is kind of offensive almost to me, and I have never met anyone who actually enjoys drinking a White Claw. But the the one seltzer that I do actually enjoy is a High Noon. That's the one I truly enjoy the taste of, and yeah.
I do enjoy the carbless. They're actually I think they're fairly new, but they're a little bit smoother than like the White Claw. Um, but yeah, I enjoy that. If any kind of seltzer comes along, I'll drink that. And another thing too, if you're a person that's on a diet, which I actually just started keto like 3 weeks ago, and that is a good option because it is low on carbs, rather than having a thicker beer or even like a cocktail with a bunch of sugar in it. I can kind of resort to that on a diet sense. So that's another plus. But if I could drink anything else, I probably will.
All right, let's go. So, all right, now that the audience is getting a little more comfortable with you, I just want to go over the format of this show. What I want this show to be is because when you watch the channel, mostly it's me being, rather professional, talking to athletes and interviewing them, or I'll make a solo video every now and then. But the goal of this show is to be more conversational, less, interview, more banter, more debate, and yeah, hopefully we can entertain you and also maybe bring you some value here and there. Because sports, it's sports at the end of the day. Hopefully we can give you a little bit more value than that. But that's kind of the goal. But we'll get into our first sports topic, and that is some NFL football. Tyler's a huge fantasy football NFL guy, and Tyler, my first question for you, it's fantasy football season. A lot of people had their draft. Some people maybe drafting tonight or tomorrow. Just give me a few of the guys you have in your radar as sleepers, and then a few guys you want to avoid at all costs.
Couple sleepers. I wouldn't say they're sleepers, but one of them is going to be a quarterback, Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. Obviously, I think a lot of people know that he got the acquisition of bringing on Marvin Harrison Jr., which I think is going to be possible top 10 wide receiver this year. You add in a couple other targets. You got James Conner in the backfield. You got McBride at tight end. And Kyler Murray was injured last year. I don't think not many people, realize that he was pretty banged up, and he is now healthy. He's got another weapon. I think he is going to be. There's really no option for him to fail at this point, and I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year for sure. I want to say another sleeper is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Arizona Cardinals as well. I think people don't realize how good these rookies are. Same with Malik Neighbors. I think he's another great sleeper. I think they're just ready to go right out of college now. LSU, Ohio State, they just produce great wide receivers. And I think 3 right there are going to be some top sleepers there. People to avoid, a couple I've written down here. This might surprise some people, but CMC, Christian McCaffrey. I just think it's a tough. Obviously, nobody's going to avoid him if they got the first overall pick in their fantasy draft, but he's got a lot of wear and tear on him, and about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we heard a calf string was coming on. So you hear calf string. Aaron Rodgers had that in the past. And I just feel like you got to be cautious with as many touches, as many usage that Christian McCaffrey has gotten. I just think you got to be cautious with them because I think something's coming down the pipeline here. Another injury is coming, and I think he's going to start slowing down here shortly. Another one too is Anthony Richardson. I read a stat a couple days ago. He's only had like 11 starts or something since high school. I think you got to take that into account. I also think you just got to be cautious with that as well. Another one I want to bring up that I missed that I'm buying on is a sleeper is Bo Nix. He's a rookie quarterback. Saw him a little bit in the preseason against the Packers. Really impressed me. And I think I read another stat with him, 61 starts over his college career. I think that is the most of any quarterback coming out of college. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I will take a guy who's had that kind of experience coming into the NFL. So that's what I have for the season.
Yeah, and I will disagree with you on Kyler Murray, and I don't dislike short people, but I don't like short quarterbacks at all. He's like, I don't know if he had a little brother, a little cousin or anything, but it's kind of like, to me, when he's out there, it looks like that little brother you let play some backyard football with you. I'm just not a fan of little quarterbacks. I think the ceiling is really limited on him. And you talk about injuries. How's a 5'7" guy supposed to last when he's got 330-pound dudes coming in at him? I mean, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, but Kyler Murray, he's just too little. He's just too little.
Yeah.
I like my quarterback 6'5". I'll make this bold prediction: Daniel Jones will have a better season than Kyler Murray. You heard it here first.
I don't know about that.
I like my quarterbacks like this, like Joe Flacco. This is the kind of quarterback I want: a 6'5", 6'6" man, not a little boy.
Joe Flacco might have a little bit better of a season than Daniel Jones there. So I know that's the boldest prediction on this show so far is Daniel Jones having a better year than Kyler. I mean, I get it. He is smaller. He is built though. I feel like he's a little bit built, kind of not like Russell
like
Wilson,
Maurice
but
Jones-Drew.
Yeah, not that big, but he's elusive. He's got quickness. He can avoid pressure. He's quicker. I want to say quicker than Russell, but definitely quicker than Drew Brees ever was. But they were smaller quarterbacks. They succeeded. But I just like the athleticism, and I like the targets around him. And it's hard to be bad when you got that kind of talent around you. It's hard for that to happen.
I'll ask you a question. You're a smart guy, and you talk about the wear and tear Connor McCaffrey has. I believe he's like 28 years old.
Christian McCaffrey.
Or Christian, yeah. Connor McCaffrey is the boyfriend of Caitlin Clark, who played at Iowa. So pardon me there. And he's gosh, it's disappointing that Caitlin chose him. Out of all the men on this planet, you choose that scumbag, that Brad Davison hater. But shoot, I lost my train. Oh, yeah. Well, here's a question I'll ask you: is if you had the choice to play in the NFL as a running back, where you're getting pounded, your brain's going to be battered a little bit as the years go on, and you can make millions of dollars, you can live hard in your 20s and 30s, have a great life, but your 40s, 50s, 60s could be really jeopardized. Would you take it?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, I've actually thought about everybody. I guess everybody thinks about playing in the NFL. I mean, of course, you're going to say yes because the money's there, but you see a lot of the CTE stuff. You see a lot of just the injuries, the knee injuries. I would say yes, I would do it. I think not many people get to play in the NFL, let alone have more than a 3 or 4 or 5 year career. So I think it's more of a privilege to play in the NFL. So I would say yes. Tough yes.
Okay. So your 20s and 30s are more important than playing with your grandkids at 67.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I can still swing a golf club at 67, I don't really care how my knees
You'll be drooling, but you'll be swinging your club.
Push me on the wheelchair.
it'll be raining from your mouth, not from the
Yeah.
sky when you're swinging your golf club. But yeah. So obviously you let it fly that you're a big Jordan Love guy earlier in the show. Crystal ball, down the road, will he be in the conversation with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers if he stays healthy? And will the contract be worth it?
Contract is definitely worth it. I mean, I think the Packers got a pretty good bargain as it is. I mean, you hear a lot of Packers fans, NFL fans, pretty much saying, how could you pay him that kind of money with that short window of what he's played? I mean, what are you going to do? Not pay the guy, then let him go or let him go somewhere else? I think the contract was definitely worth it. I also think it's tough to say yet. I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. Have I seen greatness yet? I have not. So until I see greatness, I would consider him a tier lower than Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers right now. So um, funny story is actually coming out of college when the Packers actually drafted him, I was so high on him. I loved him. I thought he was the next greatest thing to come through Green Bay. First couple of years, I started kind of downplaying him, and I even told some of my buddies, I was like, "This guy's a bust. We got to get rid of him." And sure enough, halfway through last year, maybe it was like week 7, 8 on, he was at that point, he was maybe the MVP of the league. He was in the conversation going into the later
Yeah.
part of the league. So he's a tier lower than them right now. I can't really say he's going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, but he's definitely got the potential.
Yeah, and you know what? You should have stuck with your original instinct, and
I,
that's why I am not abandoning my instinct that I've had with Daniel Jones for years now. I am convinced. The reason I say that, and I'm not going to take it back because I already put it out there, but his line just about every single year has been amongst the worst in the NFL statistically. He's had terrible lines. He's had terrible weapons at the receivers. Hopefully, Neighbors can help my boy out a little bit, but I am convinced. I'm not saying he's as good as like a Josh Allen. I'm definitely not saying that, but I'm saying if you put him in a Josh Allen situation, I think he'd be a really good quarterback. That's more what I was getting on, but I threw it out there that he's going to have a better season than Kyler Murray, so I'm going to stick with it.
And you lose Saquon Barkley. That's
Yes.
probably your biggest weapon you lose. I mean, bold prediction on my end. I think the New York Giants come, what is it, May, June, whenever the draft is next year in Green Bay, Wisconsin, actually, they're going to be looking for a quarterback because they're going to have a top 5 pick. So
I honestly, I would hope so. I kind of hope so. I want him to get a different opportunity, as long as he's not a backup. I mean, I want him to get a real opportunity in a different situation. But I won't take back what I said. But yeah. So right now, sports is picking up a little bit. You got the NFL around the corner. College football started up last weekend. So there's some topics to talk about, but we'll get to the meat and potatoes in the upcoming weeks. But let's talk a little bit Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. I'm a little bit more into this, but just from your perspective and what you know, you hear a 27-year-old boxer, former YouTuber who's been training pretty hard for 5 years now, a big kid versus Mike Tyson, the baddest man ever to walk the planet. He's now, touching 6 years old almost. He's going to be 58 at the time of the fight. What do you think when you hear that? Who do you think wins in that fight? The 27-year-old who's a solid boxer, if you can give him that. Some people think he is, some people don't think he is. I do, versus a legendary boxer who's way over the hill.
yeah, I mean, I obviously I think everybody's going to go with Jake Paul. Mike Tyson, they've already pushed this fight back another 6 months. That was supposed to happen in July.
That
I
helps
think
Jake.
that does help Jake. I just right there, I'm worried about Mike's health. Part of me thinks that Mike is just there. He's having the best time of his life. He's happy to be there. He's every show promo. He's smiling. He's grinning ear to ear. The lights are on him. He's living his in his past, and I think he's just happy to be there. But Jake Paul, he's in his prime, and I honestly don't think it's going to be very close, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Jason will bulldoze him in the first or second round. What I see is the only chance Tyson has is he's land some wild shot because the power doesn't leave you. Even when you get old, the power doesn't leave you.
Yeah.
But the speed leaves you. So landing that
Yeah.
shot is a problem. But I could see him landing a haymaker that I have a hard time seeing him actually knocking out Jake, but like putting him down on the canvas and then following up when he gets back up. That's the only way I could see it, but he has to catch him first. I think right when Jake lands a solid jab, Tyson's going to be wobbled. Jake will just crowd him, overwhelm him, and the ref will stop the fight, or Tyson will go down and it won't get back up. He'll stumble. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I've seen it.
And I think like even with like Mayweather and a lot of speed conquers all. You got to have quickness, and Mike used to be quick, really quick as well. And I just don't think he's going to have a fraction of what he had, even 20 years ago when maybe he was 40 years old. So I think it'll be pretty easy for Jake Paul, but it'll be entertaining. I mean, you got one of the biggest boxers of all time on the stage with possibly the biggest
With Mike
boxer right now,
Tyson.
with Jake Paul. I mean, what more do you want? At this point, you probably just hope the fight just happens. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, so it'll be Netflix. It will be at Jerry's World in Dallas. It should be massive. It'll be right after the election. It's gonna be a wild time. But yeah. So I'll share. So I was in Tampa. Any time I get an excuse to go to Florida, I'm gonna take it. And saw the fight was in Tampa, which is an area I love. And yeah, I went to the fight. With a few buddies, with my old man, and it was a good time. I'll say Jake's a bigger star than I thought he was. I knew he was big, but he's bigger than I thought. Like I was at they do a little open workout beforehand. All the fighters jump rope, hit the mitts, whatever it is, and people are on their phones or maybe some are engaged. But right when Jake comes out, like everyone has their phone up in the air, and that arena was sold out. Like at the start of the main card, 6 fights before Jake. And I would say the funniest story was, like I mentioned earlier, I had some Long Island iced teas, got us off to a fast start. Me and my buddies, we were out there rolling, we were having a good time, and the drinks in the stadium, I think they had maybe 24 ounces. With that, it was big. It was big. I
Okay.
don't know if it'd be 24 or 16. But yeah, maybe 16. I think 16 sounds a little better. But there's some big drinks they had, and they cost like $20. But once you get some drinks rolling in, you don't really care about money as much as you should. Oh yeah, I'll get the next round. Oh. So it was my turn to get around. I was going to get everyone some seltzers that were probably going to cost me about $100 for the group. So I go up to get the seltzers, and previously I bought something at a different vendor, and got my buddy a T-shirt. And then we came back to our seats, and then like I said, I was going up to get my drink, and I waited in line for these drinks for about 30 minutes, and then I finally get up there. I pull out my wallet, and then I realize I don't have anything in my hand.
Oh
And I
no.
didn't have my credit card, so I had to retrace my
Yikes.
steps, and I went back to the vendor, and then they said it was in customer services, and I probably made a few pit stops along the way, and I was probably stumbling a little bit, unfortunately. And all of a sudden, I hear a roar in the crowd, and I missed one of the greatest knockouts you will ever see. It was, I think, 2 fights before the main event. Guy gets absolutely flatlined. He's, face down, booty up. It's not a good scene. And this is all just to get the drinks. I come and I go to customer services, get my card, and then I end up talking to this cop, and then we start talking about the upcoming election. We start sharing our thoughts, and we had a good about 10-minute conversation, and then a situation happened where a bunch of people were crowding, and these two were kind of getting right into each other. So the cop said, "I have to go check this out." I'm like, "All right, yeah, let's go check it out." So I walk right with the cop to approach the situation, and then even in my intoxicated mind, I'm not a cop, so so I left the scene, and then I finally went back to the vendor I started with to get a drink, and I wait in line, and when I get up there, we're no longer serving alcohol. I
Oh
was
my
probably gone from my
gosh.
seat for about 90 minutes. For probably about 90 minutes, I just to get these
Jeez.
drinks. I missed probably 2 or 3 fights roaming around Amelie Arena. But yeah, overall though, it was a good night. The main event lived up to the hype. It was a good night.
Alcohol will have that effect sometimes. It will,
And that's I haven't
unfortunately.
had a
But
single drink since. Haven't had a single drink
well,
since, and I'm gonna see how long I can keep it rolling.
I actually, since we're doing a little storytelling, if anybody who tunes in who plays a lot of golf or even comes to Wisconsin to play golf, I played a lot of golf here in southern Wisconsin. Wisconsin itself, I would say, um, one of the prime destinations now is pretty much no secret is Sand Valley. I just played the new Sage Valley course up in Rome, Wisconsin, there, which I loved. I played the Sand Valley course, Mammoth Dunes, the par three course. It's just a sanctuary for golf, and it's so unique because you arrive there, and it's like you're not in Wisconsin. But where the story stems from is I woke up one morning to go play Sage Valley. I was really excited. About 5 in the morning, I go to put coffee in my car, and we were doing some gardening earlier that week, and we had a bunch of like dirt bags just piled up in the corner. Well, I get to my car, open up, I put my coffee in, go back out, and all of a sudden, I see the bag move. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't have my coffee yet. I go back in, grab my bag, come back out, and all of a sudden, the bag moves again. You're thinking to yourself, maybe you're driving crazy. I didn't have my coffee yet. I don't know what was going on. But I go over there, and you're a little curious at that point. I kick the bag, nothing moves. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Am I going nuts? Or maybe I shouldn't even be driving. I don't know what's going on. And so I go back inside, I grab something else, I come back on. I'm like, my curiosity's just itching me right now. So I go, I open up the bag slightly, and I start to see like gray hair and white hair.
Oh no!
It is a giant possum playing dead in my garage in this dirt. And previously that week, there was like brooms knocked over. I thought it was my wife, maybe just I don't know, not placing stuff back in the correct location, but it all came together because I swear this possum might have been in my garage for close to a week. So I ended up grabbing the bag, shuffling outside, and just dropping it. So thank God he was still playing dead. And then later that day, he finally ran off. But a way to start your morning
Hilarious.
going to the golf course that will
Yeah,
get you going. So
yeah, that'll wake you up. You don't need your morning coffee.
exactly, I really didn't, but yeah, it was something I always got to
That's
remember.
funny. And we got a visitor, little
Oh,
mascot here. Stop by. This is
nice,
Ruby Sue. She's my
Ruby.
dog. Beautiful, beautiful 18-month Boston Terrier. But yeah, I'll let you go, Ruby. Thanks for making an appearance. Yeah. So to round this off, last topic and something you and me are both intrigued in is the Caitlin Clark. Obviously, she's a superstar right now. She's been dominating in her return. She smoked Angel Reese in their head-to-head matchup. And she didn't go to this into the stands. She didn't cry about it afterwards. She just delivers buckets and does her thing. A true pro's pro. Let's talk about Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year. What are your thoughts?
But Rookie of the Year, hands down, goes to Caitlin Clark. I have defended Angel Reese, though. I know we've talked a couple times. My wife is a huge Caitlin Clark. She's got like multiple jerseys. I just, you hear a stat the last couple days where she has the most rebounds in WNBA history. That can't go unnoticed for a rookie. I think we all can agree on that. But as far as being the most valuable player on your team, it's Caitlin Clark. I mean, assists, shooting the ball, just IQ of the game. She makes everybody around her that much better. She does. She's like the Aaron Rodgers of football. She makes everybody better. You can see it. It's actually the team has gotten better as they've gotten stronger as season's gone on. I think Caitlin's gotten stronger in understanding her kind of role within the team, and yeah, I think it's no question that Caitlin Clark is your MVP. So
No, I agree. And I do think Angel Reese is a valuable piece to a team. Like, she can help you win. But skill-wise, is she a good basketball player?
that's tough. That is a tough question. I don't want to say she's a bad basketball player. Fundamental wise, not very good.
Vertical jump
Yeah,
wise, not
no,
very good.
I mean that's the type of player you go. Your game is 5 feet and in. That's it. You don't play.
Not to interrupt you, but if you look at the field goal percentage by the rim as of August 26th, so it's been about a week, but Angel Reese is shooting 38.9% at the rim this season compared to Caitlin Clark 60.4. So I mean, I don't even know if you want to tell her your game is 5 feet in, but granted, she misses a lot. She'll get her board. She'll eventually make it. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I mean she's a rebounding machine. I mean, I think we were talking about this yesterday, a couple of days ago. She's the Dennis Rodman of the WNBA. I mean, she's going to get boards. She's going to have that little kind of attitude that she's going to bring to the game, which I think is good for a team. But other than the rebounds, the attitude, that that's about all you're going to get. But
Yeah.
but you need role players on that team, on
Yeah, I
teams
agree.
that are going to play that role. So, but yeah, you're not going to get that. You're going to get a total different dynamic with Caitlin Clark going forward, because I think Caitlin Clark's only going to get even better. I think she can get better. I think you've seen the ceiling with Angel Reese. So
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with Caitlin, and I believe that rest period she had about a little over a month with the Olympics, that was huge for her. She needed
it,
that rest from carrying carrying the whole league on her back.
and I mean, to not be on the Olympic team, I mean, you got to take that into account. I mean, that probably pissed her off a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
who wouldn't want to be a part of that team? And I'm sure there was some politics involved, and unfortunately, I don't see why a caliber player of Caitlin Clark doesn't make that team. So kind of a head scratcher.
What it seems like in the WNBA is not everybody, a lot of people don't realize a rising tide lifts all boats. So
Yep.
Caitlin Clark's success is going to put more money in everyone else's pocket. They should embrace her as much as they can. Obviously, the league is subsidized right now, but who knows? Maybe they have a chance to become a profitable, entity with the hype they have right now. This is like nothing we've ever seen before. So they have to start embracing her a little bit more. But the last Caitlin Clark topic is Caitlin Clark for MVP. She's taking this team that was the worst in the WNBA last year, the worst, and she's taking them to the playoffs. She's playing unbelievable, especially of late. Do you think her name should be in the MVP conversation?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know why she's probably not going to be the MVP. I don't
No.
know if the WNBA is going to let that happen. But she should definitely be in the conversation. Just taking, because I believe the Indiana Fever were like one of the worst teams in the league last year, and now they're ascending to almost a top 5 team at this point. So, yeah, she's got to be in the conversation. But
100%. So, and that's all the topics we have for this first episode. I think it really went well, Tyler. I think for the people who watched and stuck around for the whole thing, thank you very much. But it's only going to get better from here. This was our first time. I've done a lot of interviews. It's been much more conversational. This is only going to improve as time goes on. So stay tuned. And I have a lot of fun ideas planned that are outside the box. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. And thank you very much for making it to the end of the show. And Tyler, thank you very much for coming on the show. Looking forward to
thanks
having
for
you
having
back
me.
on.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.